Today's July 28th, today's quote is entitled Communication. Everyone thinks communication is about effectively communicating our ideas. Good communication is often more about listening than speaking. You know the word communication, when you say communication, what do you think? You think of your tongue, right? Like, I have to communicate so people will understand what I'm saying, which is true, but not entirely true, because good communication means people are communicating to us. So isn't it funny? I find this so funny. When we talk about communication, we're always thinking about me telling you in a way that you understand, rather than me listening to you. That's not communication, that's listening. No, actually it is communication. You're communicating to me, and well, you're trying, and if I don't listen, then you're not communicating. So I was once in a workshop, and we were doing some role play or something about communication, and I brought up this point about communication is listening. One of the people in the group said, no, it's not, it's speaking. So that's what we think. And you probably heard this said before, but if you haven't, it's interesting. And if you have, I'm just reminding you that when you're having a conversation, often what we're doing is we're thinking, while we're listening to the person, we're thinking about what we're going to say. So obviously we're thinking about what we're saying, which means we're not listening. And I did a workshop on listening, and listening in terms of helping people, counseling. We went into that area, and the facilitator said that even the counselors, the psychotherapists and counselors, who are meant to listen to their patients, to let their patients vent and let their patients process what's going on, he said even they have difficulty listening, because we always want to instruct and correct. And if somebody says something we don't agree with, we want to interrupt them and tell them they're wrong, isn't it? So we were talking the other night, and maybe you've heard me speak about this, that, you know, one of the principles of devotee sangha is speaking your mind, but it's also listening. And so I've been telling devotees in the last year that listening is one of the greatest services you can do for another devotee. It's one of the most therapeutic processes for healing or dealing with problems, is to let somebody talk. Because when you talk about a problem, the strength, the power the problem has over you, it dissipates when you speak. It has energy when you hold it in, and it dissipates energy when you speak. So if you allow someone to speak their problems, you're actually helping them dissipate the energy or the negativity that the problem has over them just by listening. Isn't that amazing? I don't know if you know that. And oftentimes when people have problems, they just need to talk about them to sort them out, and they just need somebody to listen. So if you listen, you're doing like an amazing service. So once I was asked to speak about devotee care, just spontaneously they said, speak about devotee care. And I hadn't really contemplated devotee care as a specific topic or a department. And one of the things that came to my mind was that one of the greatest services we can do in caring for devotees is to listen to them, let them speak. Even if we don't agree with what they're saying, let them speak, let them process it, let them think it out. Being a good listener is an amazing service. So it's important to understand the principle that communication is also listening. It's important to understand that listening is not always easy. It's a skill, we have to develop it. But I just wanted to present the idea. And now, why don't you try practicing listening more than speaking, see what happens. Or when devotees are speaking, really listen to them, what they're saying, acknowledge it, feed it back. And you'll see how much they appreciate it. You'll see how much it helps them and how much they feel valued. our movement gets big, and one of the complaints of the devotees when it gets big is that it's impersonal and I don't have anybody to talk to. And it's true, sometimes they don't have anybody to talk to, and it's true, sometimes they do have somebody to talk to, but they don't have anybody to talk to because the somebody they talk to doesn't listen. So then they do have somebody to talk to that they can't talk to. So there's obviously a need to be heard, and I think it's a very strong need of human beings, and very great need in ISKCON to just have someone that we can reveal, we can open up to, because we have stuff inside of us. The last point I want to make is in part of the difficulty that can come up in listening is listening to things you have emotional responses to. You hear something and you don't agree with it. It could become negative. So we want to be able to control that so we can be a conduit to listen. And if you get upset about what a person's saying, you don't let them process it. So that's a challenge. We tend to be judgmental. You shouldn't think that way. You shouldn't say that way. You shouldn't, Prabhu, you shouldn't feel that way. Now we're telling people how to feel. But rather, let them express their feeling, listen to it, and you will see, generally, it'll help them process it. So, I'm not saying it's easy. Actually, I'm saying it's not easy, but I am saying that it's something we need to all learn to do as a service to other devotees. So, please try to be a better listener. Don't be so judgmental when people are speaking. Hare Krishna.